briefing officer said. John McWethy, our national security correspondent, who is at the Pentagon. But he did catch us off guard there for just a moment, and does, as Jack said, just reinforce for us how sensitive the surveillance is around the world. And earlier we got these reports from various parts of Russia saying they hadn't had any Y2K problems, at least in Russia, including with some of the systems that they had anticipated they might have troubles with, though quite frankly the Russian missiles were not included among them. We'll be back in a moment to take the measure of time again with Robert Krulwich. I hope you'll stay with us.
This is ABC 2000, the celebration of the Millennium. Brought to you by Pepsi, the joy of cola. And by Toyota, taking you into the new millennium.
And just as a new century is underway in Russia, a new political era is as well. In a stunning move, Boris Yeltsin this morning handed over his presidential duties to his chosen successor, Vladimir Putin. Putin is promising to preserve personal freedoms in Russia while continuing Yeltsin's policies. An election to find a permanent successor to Yeltsin will be held in March.
One of the big changes, of course, of today was in Russia, where Boris Yeltsin, the president, announced very early this morning he'd had enough. He was going to give up his job to Vladimir Putin, who has been the acting president for much of the day, now going to be the permanent president in all likelihood. And let us go to Washington and ask ABC's John McWethy, our national security correspondent, what's the official, both political and military reaction to Mr. Putin's arrival on the scene in such a major way, John?
Peter, I think the U.S. government at this point is not all that upset that Vladimir Putin has now stepped into the important job in Russia. As you and everyone is very much aware, Boris Yeltsin had not been much of a firm-hand governor for a number of months. American officials had been concerned by the drift in Russia. They feel that Vladimir Putin may well be the man to reestablish some of the law and order that is needed in Russia. He has said publicly that he is willing to pursue the democratic ideals that Boris Yeltsin was for. So thus far, they are not all that upset that there's a new president in Russia.
Though beyond being a law and order man, we don't know much about him, do we? We know something about his history, but we don't know where he wants to take the country.
Well, he has said publicly in his various conversations with American officials that he does want to pursue many of the same free market ideas that Boris Yeltsin did. One of the things that does concern officials is his very hard line on Chechnya, which of course the United States has been very critical of.
Okay, John, thanks very much. John McWethy at the Pentagon. One of the fascinating moments for us today was we went out to North American Air Defense Command headquarters, or to their Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado headquarters, and we were just about to listen to a briefing, and they saw some missile launches. It was John McWethy who explained that those are missiles being used in a short-range way as that rather vicious war, as that very